Et bonjour à tous, bienvenue pour ce nouveau let's play sur Vampyr, là où on a la classe qu'on est vampire. Nous nous sommes arrêtés la fois dernière contre un vampire et si je me souviens bien,
The flower's dying. It needs water.
on a créé un médicament contre la fatigue. Je me demande pas si je vais pas faire celle-là d'abord. Donc faut que je retrouve ces deux médecins. Normalement qui sont devant l'hôpital. Puis pas Hawkins, non, c'est pas elle. Anticrème. Rakesh.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
Cool, on va
Are
s'occuper
you
d'un
really
Mortimer.
that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
Ah, tranquille.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Oui, bah oui, c'est normal en même temps.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern, Mrs.
Ça va,
Goswick.
puis pas
Be
Hawkins,
sure
là?
that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
Je viens juste d'arriver dans l'hôpital, donc mettez-moi pas à l'envers. Mais ok.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No,
Really? Why are you here then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
C'est une bonne mère.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, But rest assured, you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reed. It's my mother.
Ouais, je vois.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
C'est chaud.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
Étrange, étrange, étrange.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
Ok.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Étrange, étrange, étrange.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Helen. As for me, what a blundering idiot.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Is there anything else that's bothering you? Can I help in any way?
I'm all right. Considering the state of this place, I should consider myself lucky, I guess.
Ouais, ça va, t'as de la chance.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
C'est compréhensible.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Aykroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Oui, en
Are you
même temps, c'est des
satisfied with
charpentiers,
your treatment here?
Well,
pas des
it's
charcuteries.
clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable, and your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies. Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
J'avoue.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
Donc maintenant, j'ai presque tout le monde. Non plus que ces deux-là.
Reads me like a book.
que j'arriverai pas à accéder. Parce qu'on avait déjà essayé.
I cannot enter. Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Toujours. Non.
Goodbye, Milton. Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Non, bah voilà, j'en ai trouvé une des deux.
Do you require medical assistance, Nurse?
Thank you for your concern, but I'm fine.
Goodbye, Nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Ah, quelle est l'autre? Est-ce que je peux lui parler?
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Non,
Goodbye,
ça-
Dr. Tibbets.
Dommage. Bon, bah tant pis. On va parler à Santi. On fera ça plus tard, je pense. Hop. Je pense dans l'arc 3 ça peut être pas mal.
Please, Jonathan, come in.
L'épisode 5 plutôt.
Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body, biology's penultimate frontier. The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital, a brand new life. How stimulating it must be.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea. But my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortality defies logic.
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous turn of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
Je suis plutôt l'incarnation d'un paranoïaque, je pense.
There is an absurd poetry to my situation. Physician, heal thyself.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time, and now you are so much more than a brilliant physician. And please, call me Edgar.
I'm not some doe-eyed student, Edgar. I understand we both have something to gain from this relationship.
J'avoue,
Very well.
faut bien.
I have a task for you, Jonathan.
Faut bien m'examiner.
Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors. Unfortunately, our main donor has found herself in a bit of a bind. Now, if you could help her out...
A spokesman or politician is what you need. That's not my calling. And until I come to understand what has happened to me, I require discretion.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan. Lady Ashbury has recently received rather indelicate correspondence that if revealed, would jeopardize her position.
And you would like me to eradicate this threat?
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit. Her ladyship is certainly near the tents outside, tending the sick. You can't miss her. Look for someone impossibly delicate.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of trouble Lady Ashbury is in.
Go charmer quelqu'un. Ah, en fait... Si, je peux la faire celle-là en fait, c'est juste que j'ai mal regardé. C'est un petit peu... Mince, c'était pas là. Allez. Allez. Tiens, ce quartier plongera dans le chaos, les citoyens de ce quartier disparaîtront, leurs missions seront perdues, et de dangereuses créatures commenceront à rôder dans les rues. Ah ouais. Tige de plomb. Au final, je pense quand même que c'est dans la morgue. Hein. Parce que je vois pas aucun moyen de passer par là. Oh, on ira bien voir de toute façon. On verra bien si c'est bien pour bien aller au cas. Mais presque sûr quand même. Donc en bas. Je fais pas tête quand même. Hein.
It's locked. The chest was originally opened to perform the operation. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened. Traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps? Multiple abrasions and scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive injuries of a sailor or a fisherman. A puncture over the left lung, possibly a chest tube insertion. Not the cleanest,
Ouais, il va essayer de
but I
crier
think
dans
it
le
was
couloir.
successful. Signs of internal bleeding. So, Dr. Tippett's anesthetics were incorrectly dosed, causing the patient's death. And then he tried to operate on him again. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked.
Voilà, maintenant je vais aller taper celui dans le couloir aussi, mais voilà. Comme ça, mais non, mais je peux pas en faire. Hop. Voilà. C'est réglé. Les griffes sont super mal quand même. Maintenant je peux sortir. C'est parti pour leur parler, pour voir ce qui s'est passé. Installer cellule. Je pense que je vais d'abord parler à Brannigan avant de Tippett.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Tell me what Dr. Tippett did. I know his mistake caused a patient's death.
If I had not covered up his error, Dr. Tippett would have been fired from this hospital. I could not let that happen.
You can't allow your emotions to dictate your conduct concerning patients, Nurse Brannigan.
Look around you, Dr. Reed. Do you really think we can afford to lose a brilliant practitioner like Dr. Tippett in our situation?
S'il était si brillant, il aurait pas tué quelqu'un en fait, s'il était si brillant que ça. Mais bon, je comprends quand
I
même.
can't say I approve of what you did. But as a field surgeon, I know that some situations require you to bend the rules.
I'm not proud of what I've done, but to contain the epidemic must be our priority. So we can't afford to lose Dr. Tippett.
Je comprends, je comprends.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
We have no effective treatment for this influenza.
Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Have you heard of any underhand dealings going on in this hospital?
I have no time for such triviality, my dear colleague. We're here to save lives.
On demandait quand même avant.
Corcoran, I want you to tell me about Mr. Connor. How did he die? What happened?
He was my patient. He died because of my mistake. That's the blunt truth.
What was the nature of the mistake?
It was a twofold error. My diagnosis was wrong, and the administered dosage was too strong.
Who was this patient?
I don't know. Some sick man from the docks, maybe a fisherman. I had no time to talk with him. No one claimed a body.
Why not stop practicing?
Are you mad? I killed that man, I admit it, and it won't happen again. I have saved so many lives since then.
Oh, enfin quand même, mec.
I will cover for you, Dr. Tippett, by keeping what happened to Mr. Connor to myself.
I don't know what to say, actually. I can't exactly force you to become my accomplice.
You didn't force me. This is my decision to make. I believe you're still of use to the hospital, considering the situation.
Then I can make you this promise. As soon as the epidemic is eradicated, I will resign.
Ça, je suis d'accord.
What will you do after your resignation? Do you have a plan?
I always fancied visiting Cyprus. Such a beautiful island. I could buy a house there, by the sea. Read poetry, and wait for death.
Toujours attendre la mort.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
Enfin, si je te suis pas le soir avant.
took my dear wife, Emily. I take comfort knowing we'll soon be together again.
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here, and we'll be up again soon enough. Now do me a kindness and get some sleep. I'll be back round later.
Your words are kind, the blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet Lady of Mercy.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. It's a pleasure to see you again. You seem surprised. Dr. Swansea has brought me up to speed concerning your recent appointment to Pembroke Hospital.
You're a the lady who saved me that night, before vanishing into thin air. I remember you from the pub with Dr. Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself formally this time.
C'est mieux.
My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our encounter.
Apologies. You've taken me by surprise. I'm very happy to see you.
The pleasure is mine, Doctor.
I hope you're more disposed to answer my questions now.
You must have countless questions, but our rather urgent matter first. Swansea has explained. My cover, if you prefer, has been compromised.
Pardon my boldness, Your Ladyship, but I have questions concerning this condition we share.
As a newborn, your hunger for answers is rivaled only by your thirst for blood. But the questions need wait.
I'm a scientist. My trade is in the deciphering of mysteries, and I need information to feed my mind.
I will gladly answer every question you have, but first, prove yourself capable of resolving my predicament without eating the culprit.
Mais je voulais croquer le coupable.
Have any of the patients given you trouble?
These poor souls have so little left to live for. I do my best to ease their pain.
The world would be a better place if it were cared for by women like you.
You make me blush. I am simply a necessary evil.
Dr. Swansea has commissioned me to be your agent in this matter. You could start by explaining what's amiss.
These past insufferable weeks, I've been the victim of extortion. I've made a first payment, but the blackmailer grows greedy. I must refuse his most recent demands.
Who would be so foolish as to threaten you? A kindred spirit.
Even if it were the case, and I highly doubt it, a vampire would have asked for something more valuable than money. My suspicions lean toward a patient or their family.
What are your expectations? Please be
J'ai un petit truc
precise.
sur quelqu'un.
As the newly appointed surgeon of this hospital, you are in an excellent position to ask innocent questions and deftly learn the identity of my blackmailer.
C'est pas bête.
If we're dealing with an ordinary criminal, surely you've the means to deal with it yourself, if I may.
As immortal tradition doth dictate, all fangs and hypnotic eyes ablaze, the blood would run like a river. That's what I hope to avoid. Violence has a tendency to spiral out of control.
Je suis d'accord.
Please continue. Every
C'est
detail
très dur
is
d'être un
essential.
vampire. Très
Man
dur.
your man.
My embarrassment in this matter is eclipsed only by my shame at having put the hospital at risk. The threat from our anonymous scoundrel is clear. A list of dates. My visits coinciding with the dates of suspicious patient deaths due to massive blood loss.
I'll take care of it. Do you know where I should start?
If that was the case, I'd settle the matter myself. You could talk to our local gossip, Harriet Jones. Not a pin drops here without her hearing about it.
I'll meet that woman now.
My life, as others know, is in your hands, Dr. Reed. I'm sure of your discretion, but I do fear your powers of persuasion will be put to the test. When this is resolved, I'll be your obligé. I'll answer all questions in regards of your condition.
Bon bah let's go.
And I thought last time was ever been able to do it.
Justement, c'est celle qu'on connaît pas. Normalement. Ah non, c'est même pas la pilier du 4e. Même pas des personnages dedans, donc il y a que des humains dedans.
You simpletons, these nurses. Bred with no respect. What is this? Who are you? Get out of my room.
There's no need for alarm, madam. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon.
Preposterous. Dr. Reed, you say? I don't want some bumbling intern. Where's Dr. Swansea?
Please, calm down, madam.
On est à dur
I
plus
assure
long,
you that I am highly qualified. I'm just back from war duty.
How brave. Threatening an old defenseless woman. You
Je
know
t'ai
how
pas
long I've
menacé.
been a patient here? You've picked the wrong fight. I'm Harriet Jones.
Harriet Jones? Indeed. I've been meaning to have a chat with you. You know what goes on here better than any other patient, I gather.
Oh, better than any patient, nurse or doctor. I've seen so many vile undertakings.
I heard there have been some despicable goings-on. Was there a case of blackmail?
Blackmail? Wait. You're investigating something. This isn't a social call. One of those incompetent cunts slit a poor sod's vein.
If I didn't know better, Miss Jones, I'd be inclined to say you enjoy this type of idle gossip.
God's honest truth, Doctor. It's just the way it is here. Most of these bitches would let you freeze to death before getting you a blanket.
Je vais pas lui demander parce que.
I
je
assure
pense à
you,
rien.
madam, this is not an investigation into a possible medical error.
Debauchery, then? Nurses Crane, Hawkins, Brannigans, whores, all of them. They can't keep their legs shut. I've seen them scratching slutty sores.
Really? Well, if you have irrefutable proof, I'll not have the staff behaving in such a manner here.
This is your business, Doctor, not mine. But I swear one of the nurses is cavorting with some man on hospital hours.
Thank you for your time, Miss Jones. You've given me something to go on. See you on the next round.
Mais non, c'est qui? Présente-toi, c'est bien.
The patients and staff might know something. I'll start my investigation with them.
I am wasted too.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
What can you tell me about the strange man visiting one of the nurses during her shift?
Let me guess. You spoke with that old shrew, Harriet Jones. Do not pay attention to her, Doctor. She's full of fanciful tales.
She could have been telling the truth about the mysterious man.
That old witch will end up in hell soon enough. Who cares if a nurse finds some happiness where she can?
No matter how you feel about her, Miss Jones deserves our help.
Who says I don't care for her? Hate is what keeps that old crone alive.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Damn. The pain. It's here again.
At least that mistress of the cult has...
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Do you know if any of the hospital staff have criminal backgrounds?
The people who work here all come from very different backgrounds, Doctor. Just like the patients.
D'accord.
Have you seen a strange man visiting any of the nurses here?
I've never heard of such a thing, Doctor.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Je saurais pas dire pour l'instant c'est à qui que le mot visite. Ah bah ça va être ok.
You're sure you don't come back with me?
Nah, I have to see someone at the hospital.
Be careful. You look so bad they may keep you as a patient.
Fuck 'em. I don't like hospitals or doctors.
Well then, when you go back to Whitechapel, you may find this useful.
What is it?
A pass for a free medical exam by the best nurse available. Just read it.
I don't read well, but thank you, I guess.
C'est bon, elle est de l'autre côté. Eh mais il y a un petit scal sauvage. Vraiment pas je trouve de quoi améliorer mon arme.
It's locked.
Aïe. Bon, pas monter les escaliers, c'est très mauvais pour la santé des vampires. Donc, on ne va pas s'occuper des malfrats. Entraîner directement ici. Écoute de pas plaire.
This man has been savagely attacked and dragged to the floor.
Hop, je le bouffe. Allez, on est reparti. Tac, tac. Nickel. Il sent mal. Coucou mon petit zombie. Loup-garou.
What sort of creature is this?
Hop, je te coupe un petit peu. Il va se calmer. Je bouge. Je me soigne. Plus qu'un petit coup et je l'envoie. Il va appuyer sur rond. Il m'a chopé pendant que je me déplace. Oh, il va être chaud. Il va être chaud. Bon. On va bouffer un peu de rat quand même. Voilà. Maintenant, je pense qu'on est prêt à y aller.
What sort of creature is this?
Il m'affiche rien du tout. Hop. 154. Hop. Hop, allez, on est parti. Ça va être très dur. Ça va être très dur. Alors...
This is despicable.
Merde. Bon, j'ai dû
up
faire
in
le boss un peu
nurse
avant,
crane
mais
up to?
parce que
I really
mon
must
enregistrement
find
il a bugué. Donc vous avez loupé le combat de boss, je suis désolé. De toute façon il n'y avait pas de cinématique derrière, il n'y avait rien du tout. Fallait juste que je fouille ce monsieur là. Bon, comme vous l'avez vu, et puis c'est tout. Sur ce, je vous dis à la prochaine. Une bonne journée à vous, une bonne soirée et on se retrouve bientôt pour le 5e épisode.